right, we are back. I am with none other than the legend, the man himself, Jules. Welcome to the Say Less Projects podcast. How are you, sir?
I am well. What is up, my dude?
I have to get used to seeing you without your head top.
I do too, man. It's gonna take some time. It's a zoo at work, man. People are like concerned. They're like, wait, oh, okay, we're
For those that don't know, Jules and have never seen him previously used to have some pretty long hair, so for context. But on that note, for those that don't know you, Jules, for those who have never met you, why don't you go ahead, let's just get right into it. If you want to kind of tell your little bit about where you're from, your name, all that good stuff.
yeah, for sure, man. I shaved it off to get faster, by the way. That's the only reason. No, just kidding. My name's Jules. My real name is Julian. A lot of people actually just don't even know that. But don't call me that. Jules is what I go by. I'm from Dallas, born and raised. I lived on the West Coast for just a little bit when I was younger, and then life kind of brought me back here. And that's where I've been since, man.
Awesome. How did you get into running? What's kind of your running story?
Yeah, had some time to kind of think about that. I think I was always active when I was a kid. I played a lot of sports. I was always pretty competitive. Um, and then I hit a pretty big lull just in physical activity in my 20s, which I imagine a lot of people that were very active when they were young kind of hit. You either kind of really keep up with it or you don't. Um, and I think 2023 was a really, really hard year for me for a lot of reasons. Definitely the hardest year of my life that I can recall. And I was just going through a lot of grieving and healing of different things. And I just kind of hit this point where I was like, man, I'm doing all this work and this working on myself and breaking bad habits and building new ones, but I just kind of felt like something was missing and I felt super stuck still. Um, and it dawned on me that I just wasn't moving. I thought, wow, you feel stuck. You just, what if you stopped working up here and started working out here? What would that look like? And it just started with moving my body. And I thought, all right, I need to get out the door. I didn't have experience running. I could barely run a mile or two. Um, but I felt good about doing it. They always sucked my runs. But when I got back, I always felt better. And then really what really pulled me into running was I had a friend, a really close friend of mine still, who had been inviting me out a little bit socially, trying to get me out of my house. Um, and I passed every time for weeks. And in this kind of time frame where I started moving, I got another text and I thought, you know what? This place is literally like 6 minutes down the road. I have no good reason to just not go out and see some people. I don't know some of them. He's been telling me these are great people. Um, those two people that really locked me in were Pete and Monica, and I met them along with others that night that mentioned this run crew. Um, and ironically enough, I still didn't go that week, and then I saw that same group of people a few weeks later, and they brought it up again. And I thought, dude, just go. You don't have any. Get out of your head. Again, a lot of my running started with get out of your head. Life doesn't happen up there. So I showed up to Run Crew, Cliff Run Crew, um, and was humbled. Was humbled on a physical fitness level, but also just had so much fun. That was the first night where I was like, wow, a lot of that like sucked. And I lost my friends a mile in, and I couldn't hang with anyone, and I had to stop. But I still got back to that parking lot and thought, yeah, I'm for sure gonna be here next week. Like this is where I'm gonna be next Thursday. So yeah, I just had some people pull me in, and Thursday nights gave me motivation because I'm very competitive. I tapped back into that younger part of myself, and it made me want to run a little bit in between Thursdays so I could hang with the dogs. And still to this day, much of my running is hanging with people. I I love to run with people that I'm like amazed by, and I know that I can't do half of what they can do because it gets me out of here, and my only job is to follow them. That's it. Like just look at those feet. And that was it, really. I got after that, I thought, yeah, this feels good. I got to stick with this. This is doing a lot of good for me, and it has done a ton. So that's how I started, man.
I love that. And so you kind of are alluding to just the power of being in a running community. And so, I mean, like all of us who are part of Say Less Projects, Oak Cliff Run Crew, and beyond, we all know the power of being in a running community. And it can be daunting from the outside, especially like if you're in the situation you were in where you may have been quote unquote in a slump, you hadn't been running. It's so easy to look at other people and think, oh God, like I can't keep up with these people, but I'm glad you pushed through. And I remember that day you came, and I remember Pete and Monica mentioning they had invited a friend, and now it's really cool to see how ingrained you are into the community. Since you started running, or maybe even back in the day, is there one particular run that for you just like really stands out in your mind as like a memorable run and why?
Honestly, man, a run that just comes to mind, and it wasn't the first time I ran a half, the distance of a half. It wasn't official, but that first time I ran 13 with you and Julian, and I think there were a few others. Uh, that was such a big deal for me, man, because I was still only months into running, but I had also, I think my max at the time was 10. And so, again, being new, I know now that if you can run 15 miles, you can run 17 miles. Like the jump is actually not physically that large, but I didn't have that trust in myself yet. Um, and I hadn't really been running with you guys. So not to say that I wasn't comfortable, but I was just not necessarily in a comfort zone. And it was hard, honestly, just knowing that going into that run, I knew what you guys had planned on your docket, and I knew that it was close enough to mine that you'd be there for it. But you guys were doing your own training, and I thought I can either stick with these lads at the beginning for a little bit and then try to finish this on my own, or I can try to be smarter about it, pace myself, lose them very early, and just do my thing. Um, I'm really glad I pushed myself at the beginning to stick with you guys because I ultimately couldn't, and it made for a really long journey back home by myself. And that run just showed me that I'm capable of a lot more than I think. And that's something that people around me had been telling me, but a lot of times we have to go discover it for ourselves for it to really feel real. Um, and I remember coming down that hill and seeing you and Liam was there, and I thought, holy shit, I think I'm in this. I think I'm in this because now I want to run again. I'm not even finished with this run, and I'm like, this is awesome. So that was a memorable one for me. First 13.
Yeah, I mean, that was memorable for me. I remember
Yeah,
seeing you coming down that hill,
I was
and
shocked.
it was really cool. That was a cool moment.
Yeah.
I remember last year when we first did Say Less Projects, you were one of the first people to like respond, and you ended up dedicating just some miles on your own to the effort we had put in. What for you, like, what's one of the reasons why you like maybe like you initially were drawn to it, but also saying less this year by actually now joining the team who's going to run from Dallas to Austin? Because when I tell people about this, and I'm sure you're experiencing this, you tell your friends and they're looking at you like, what in the world are you talking about? Running from Dallas to Austin. But what for you like drew you into this? Like, what are maybe some of your whys behind why you're gonna do this?
Yeah, I think I forgot that was actually my dedicated. I know it wasn't a lot to put forth, but that was what I had to give. I think just the cause, man. To be honest, just to be very open, uh, that topic is very close to home for me, for myself and my personal life. But it's something that I've mourned others for a few times now, and I just hit 30. So when I learned that that was even a part of your journey, um, I'm a very, I can be pretty black and white. I like to simplify things. I think a lot of things are complex. And for me, it was an instant. There wasn't even a gap of decision. It was just something that meant enough to me that I thought if I can be a part of this, expand this message, give $1, make one more pair of eyes see this and feel better one day, anything, I'm in. I want to be a part of it. Um, and I'm thrilled to, be involved actually this year. Last year I was stoked to just follow and hear the stories and see you guys do that. I mean, it was very motivating and inspiring.
That's awesome, man. And man, thank you for championing the message and being all about it. I mean, you've been loud about it, and since day one when I first even mentioned it, and so I'm really proud of you for being someone who is helping me and the others like just break the stigma because it is hard to talk about, especially as you said, like when you've dealt with it and you've maybe even dealt with it personally and mentally, but also those around you. Like I like to say, like this is not something that we would have chosen to be called to, because I wish this wasn't something that I had to be called to speak about or be loud about. But for me, it came and it's here and it is what it is. For on the topic of mental health, because I mean, you kind of talked about a little bit, but are there any, like for you, how do you use running or movement? And maybe there's other practices you could share with people on this episode. What are some things that you use to help you with your mental health? I mean, we all have bad days, we all have struggles. You and I have both had to grieve the loss of others to this subject. So, what are some ways that you use practices to help yourself mentally to just get healthy?
Yeah, that's such a good question, and I was watching Noble's episode earlier, and I really liked his response because it kind of reminded me of something that I see, uh, especially around my workplace. I work with a lot of younger folks in certain areas, and I'm always trying to learn. But you got to have outlets. It took me a long time to learn that, and I'm only now in a place where I have a few outlets that I love that are just personal for me that I've tied no attachment to, no intention to other than joy. You have to just have things in life that bring you joy and allow you to kind of step away from your reality at the moment, and that is okay to do. And running does that. You're right, but as runners, we can't only have that. No matter what you do, I would not advise having one thing in your arsenal. Um, I play the drums. It is physically an awesome outlet, but allows me to be creative. There is movement involved there too. So a lot of times when I'm feeling stagnant and maybe don't want to run, that really allows me to get loose in there, and it allows me to put on some music, which takes my brain away. Then my body is taken away, and it just kind of actually grounds me. As active as it can be, it's very grounding. I love video games, dude. I make jokes 10 miles into Taylor when we're like heaving about like, I can't wait to play Warcraft when I get home. That's not a joke. That's like after a really long, brutal run. That's one of my favorite things to do. I'll make sure I don't sit for too long. But like, yeah, I have things that I zone out and do because I love them and they're fun. You got to have boundaries with these things and maintain them. But I think I see a lot of younger people that I'm like, what do you do when you're in this state right now? Because the things you want to do, you shouldn't do in this state. It's not going to be helpful. It's not going to be effective. We need things to get us out of that state so that we can come back, and work on those things and be a little bit more self-aware. But yeah, running is just like now another thing I have in my arsenal that I love that I can hop outside. Sometimes earbuds, sometimes no music, sometimes it's a podcast. Um, but yeah, outlets. I'm going to echo Noble on that.
Yeah. And I really like what you said there about like having multiple things in your arsenal because especially in the running community, it's and like in anything, you get passionate about something and then you attach your identity to it. And like you just said, like there's got to be things that you just have no attachments to, you just do. And I think that's so important. Like, especially like for me, my personality is someone who's pretty extreme at the things that I do decide to do. And it's so easy to attach your identity to it. And then what do you do when let's say you get injured and you can't run? Or let's say, the internet's out and now you can't play your game online.
Right.
What do you do, So for you, it's, hey, the internet's down, let me go run or whatever. So I think I'm really glad that you highlighted that. I think that's a very important thing about just having multiple outlets. And also, like, dude, I don't play video games at this stage in my life, but if that's what works for you, like, who's to say it's right or wrong? I think especially in the mental health space or health and wellness space, it's, a lot of people articulate in a way that like this is how you do it versus like this is a way to do it. Like there's multiple ways to do it. There's multiple streams to be able to tap into health and mental
Oh yeah.
clarity.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so for the relay, what are you looking forward to? I mean, you saw us online last year. What are you most excited about? Getting chased by a
Oh
dog? Like
man,
what are you looking
kind of.
forward to?
I think I'm really excited to do something a bit chaotic, I think as you're not that much farther than me you think you are, but I think we're more peers. Like things get quieter, and so something like this for me, I'm like, ooh, this is spicy. I think on a serious note, I'm excited. I'm really excited to be a part of something that means way more than I could voice with my single voice. On a less serious note, I'm probably going to echo Mimi here. I'm so excited for us to have like a really well thought out game plan and then it just not really go that way. Um, and I welcome that type of chaos because I know there are 12 really solid humans. I know there are solid runners, but I think we have 12 solid humans. And as people, I think it's going to be really entertaining to see how we get through this. I'm honestly just most excited to be in it. Like, I want to be in it. I'm excited to run in some really random places. I really like running in places I haven't been. Um, so yeah, I think I'm excited by the unknown of this for sure. And like I don't want to know. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah, I love that. And you
Yeah.
will. You will meet the unknown for
Yeah.
sure. What about, is there anything that you hope as people are listening to you, friends, family, strangers, is there any takeaways that you would hope they would get from not only just you, but the group as a collective running this for mental health, suicide prevention? Is there anything that you are kind of hoping to walk away with from this for yourself or maybe for others?
Um, for myself, I am a little unsure about the physical requirements. Um, I I want to be able to be there for the team that I'm on. And I did have a moment the other day where I was like, man, it's a tough thing to kind of train for specifically, but I just thought I want to be in shape because I want to carry my weight and I want to be a part of this team and I want to be able to I want to have that energy for me, but I want to have enough to where if someone needs a piece, I have an extra piece and I can have that energy and fuel for others because so many people have been that for me. I feel like this is an opportunity, probably my first opportunity to do that for others. Um, so that's something for me I'm looking forward to. I think for others to take away, I know there are going to be people that see this that I haven't seen or talked to in years. And I think really for anyone, it's a little on the nose, but I mean, you all you got to do is get out of your head. I think I'm in a unique place as a semi new runner, um, in the sense that it's not been a long time for me, but I've had the privilege to clock a lot of miles in a short period of time. And I think that gives me the kind of position to be there for the newer runners who aren't necessarily not going to say not going to listen to, but are less inclined, respectfully, to listen to people who are 5 marathons deep. It's just harder to relate to. So I have coworkers and kind of acquaintances and looser friends that still to this day are so shocked when they hear 3 or even 4 miles, and I want to be there for those people to say that's where I started. And all of this really doesn't start with your legs. It really truly starts here. Most things probably do. Most things you're taking on. But yeah, I'd like for those people that are right where I was, where they were kind of getting moving, but not really sure, and they're scared of all the shit they see on the internet. I'm
Mm,
like, that's fine. Don't look over here then. Look at these people because these people are just running. And that's really all you need to do. And it doesn't need to be more serious than that. And you absolutely can. You just have to stop telling yourself that you can't run 3 miles. You just can't yet. That was a lot.
absolutely.
That was a lot,
I
but I hope
love
they think that.
nah. I love that, man. We're gonna end it right there, but I think that what you said is just there's nothing that needed to add to it. There's no salt and pepper or sauce I need to put on that one. You said it well. But I do want to acknowledge you and just say thank you for saying less. Thank you for saying yes to not only me, but to this team. And I'm really happy to hear that it's your heart's desire to be ready and be fit for those other runners that are running with you. And I have no doubt that you're going to inspire people, and you already have beyond just the 11 you're running with. But I really believe that you found this community for a reason. You might have felt like it was for you, but I truly think that you're going to be somebody that there's going to be someone just like you who shows up and they're in the pain cave, they're in their head, and you're going to be the person that really inspires them and brings the best out of them. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you continue that journey. And so thank you for being part of the team. Thank you for being a part of our community here in Dallas, our run crew. And yeah, man, look forward to seeing you from Dallas to Austin.
My dog.
So take care, man.
Thank you for having me, man. It's been a pleasure. I'm so excited, man. I'll see you soon.
Absolutely.